The launch of this game has been something we've seen before, but is extra depressing. I spent a majority of the day yesterday, well, I guess 2 days ago, playing it, and I think this game is getting more hate than it deserves. However, it does commit a cardinal sin in my eyes. I also think the reaction to this game is going to lead to some very serious consequences. I've been playing competitive shooters for about 20 years of my life, and I feel like we're about to hit a low point for variety in the genre. Gameplay is interesting enough. It's pretty much just a 3v3, almost MOBA-like FPS. It's structured kind of similar to a MOBA. Each team gets like a base you destroy, but you get loot like Apex, and raiding the base is kind of like Rainbow Six Siege or Counter-Strike Search and Destroy. The gunplay kind of feels like Call of Duty with abilities. Is kind of weird. But enough of that. I'm sure enough of you have played it and tried it. It's a fine game mode, but I don't think it's really made for real competition. You know, maybe if this game was perfect and fun, maybe there would be an esports scene, but I don't know. But here's where I get into my complaints. First, let me just get this out of the way. The cardinal sin. The mouse input latency is super noticeable. And some people might say, you can't even notice 60 milliseconds. Why are you're complaining about nothing? One, I turbo disagree with that. Go play Valorant or CS or Overwatch or literally anything that's well optimized and then come back to it. You will notice it. Two, you'll hear a lot of people say the gunplay feels a little bit floaty. And I think that's what they're talking about. They just don't know the technical terms. I think this is unacceptable for a shooter that is supposed to be competitive, especially in 2026. Next thing, I had to alter the files to put it into full potato mode in order to get a consistent 150 FPS in gunfights. Now, I've seen a lot of people complain about this, so I won't harp on it too much. I get about 500 FPS in Valorant, and that's running in the same engine. I also couldn't stream the game unless I put it into potato mode and had to lower the resolution of my stream. And here's where I'll get into some gameplay complaints. I think there's a lot of issues that people take with this game, but here were the big ones for me. And I really kind of went ham talking about this because, you know, I'm passionate about this genre. And I think any new game that comes out has a chance of actually being really fun. I think this one did too. My light just turned out. It's okay. Lighting is good enough. I want to talk a little bit about why these optimization issues might have been happening in the first place. Everyone knows games have been taking way longer and way more money to make the past couple of years. And I believe this may be another case where the company was just starting to run out of development funds and had to release the game in order to get a return on investment so they could continue it. I know for a fact this level of optimization is not what the developers wanted. And I hate when people get angry at them saying that this was all done on purpose. However, I do think they needed to prioritize at least the mouse input latency a lot more than they did. They didn't pay for that last spot in the Game Awards, and I think that brought a lot of negative attention to them that they really didn't deserve just to start it out. So I really do feel for the devs and the company in this instance. I mean, we need to remember this isn't a massive company. They only have around 100 employees. I think it was very unfortunate the way this game was presented. One, it was the last spot in the Game Awards, and two, they came out and they said from the creators of Apex and Titanfall. Even I said Titanfall 3, and then we get Valorant.
Highguard.
It's Titanfall 3, but renamed, I'm guessing. Okay, no, it's not. Why does it look like that? Now, I'm not saying they didn't deserve any of the negative reviews or anything. Obviously, what I just said is some big complaints I have, but I think we should just be phrasing it more as feedback and not threatening to kill the developers like I've seen some people say. All right, now I'm going to talk about the gameplay issues. So we went over quick the optimization, and here are my personal complaints with the gameplay, and I haven't really seen too many people talk about this, but I really do think it is bringing down the game a lot to even casual players. First is the movement. It almost felt like they wanted to do this Apex Titanfall style movement, but a little bit slower and not with a source physics engine, I guess. The movement feel very clunky. And to me, a good movement system can completely make or break an FPS game. Mounts are cool or whatever, but you know, you get in a gunfight and it's just like you're a sitting duck. You know, another thing, I haven't heard anyone talk about this. This game does not have a very good clip potential. And this is something that I think is really overlooked when making an FPS game. And I think this is what Valorant did perfectly. We've seen games come out and there's teams of 3, you know, a lot of battle royales, and there's still some really good clips. But I think most of those games have the multiple teams. So in this game, the maximum clip hype moment you can get is a triple kill. I watched back some of the clips of me getting team wipes, and it just doesn't really look that impressive. Even if the clips were like hard fought and very skillful, it's just kind of, the skill expression in this game is just not existent right now. And it's hard to imagine someone having like an iconic hype clip moment where they're getting a triple kill. You know what I mean? I mean, everyone's a sitting duck when they shoot. To get a team wipe, it kind of felt like they needed to just not be looking at you, be absolutely horrible, or you just have a shotgun or a 2-shot ultimate. I mean, that's like your 3 clips you'll see. Now, this is not a new issue. Okay, we've seen a lot of new FPS titles where it just feels like they're nerfing the good players so the casual players can stand a chance. I think we're starting to reach a point, though, where it's making the games feel so bland. I know this might be a bit of a hot topic, but I think we're getting to a point where you just look at the titles that are popular in the competitive FPS genre. You have what? One of the most played ones, probably Valorant, Counter-Strike. Deadlock's not an FPS, but it's on the rise. Everything else seems like it has died. Those are games with very high skill ceilings, and they keep players playing because they want to get better at the game. In this case, the strive for gaining more skill in a game is the gameplay loop, or another gameplay loop added on top of whatever the normal game is. I mean, just look at the Steam player count trend of Counter-Strike, who people have been saying they've been putting bad updates for years. But you know what they haven't really been doing? Nerfing the good players. Now look at the player count numbers. Now let's compare this to Battlefield 6, where they got all ravingly good reviews, but the visual clarity shit. They did everything possible to make bad players be on an even playing field as the good ones. It's just not as fun. If you have nothing to work for in the game itself, it relies on the developers having to make content for the game, which just isn't sustainable. We've seen how long these games take. You can't just drop content. Players play these games for the competition. And, you know, Battlefield 6 is a bit of a casual shooter. So I'm not saying there's like needs to be ranked or anything like that, or esports. But I'm just trying to put it in perspective. The difference between Battlefield 6 and Counter-Strike is the improvement. How serious the game takes itself and its players. I mean, you could use this for a lot of things, and I feel like this is just something game companies just don't seem to get right now. I mean, I know a lot of people that got obsessed with chess. I don't know anyone that's obsessed with checkers. I mean, but like, actually though, that works so well. There's a reason why people love chess, is because they want to get better at it. No one cares to get better at checkers because it's fucking checkers, okay? It's like the most casual thing ever. You play that with your like little kids. And you can see a lot of these popular games that, you know, were popular, Apex and Overwatch, they started to nerf their good players, and look at their player counts now. They've fallen out of existence. Now Overwatch may be on the rise. I don't really know. I don't keep up with either of those very well, but me and all my friends used to love both of those games and barely hear anything about them anymore. I also think the reaction to this game could lead to companies not really wanting to make a new FPS game, which really makes me sad, because I used to look forward to new FPSs coming out like every couple of months for a while. We've kind of already seen that slow down a lot. I don't even remember the last one to come out. It was Battlefield 6 and then the finals before that. Especially the competitive FPS industry that is already extremely top heavy, where the top games get all the players while the other ones get players for a month or two. If you played it, let me know what your thoughts were. If you agreed with me, if you didn't. I usually make tech reviews on my main channel, but I wanted to start a new one for videos about video games because I used to do both. But it was kind of fucking up my algorithm, so now I kind of have to restart on my video, whatever. You don't care. But go check that out if you're into new tech stuff. I love seeing the comments. If people agree with me, If you didn't, okay, we don't have to be assholes. We can just be like, hey, this point you made was kind of dumb. That's kind of mean, actually. You can't say that. You have to say I'm right, actually. But actually, though, any feedback, thanks. That would be awesome. If you want to sub to that other channel, I'll have it go up somewhere. Ooh, that felt like old 2012 YouTube pointing at the screen. Okay, I'm sorry. Bye.